Alright, there we go. Turning off the music. What is up, everybody? My name is Richard Terrell. I go by Kirby Kid, and you are watching the design topic of the week cap, or the design topic of the day weekend recap. So here we're going to go over every single topic that we covered throughout the week. Design oriented is a community. It's something that you can join in and discuss game design every day. And to facilitate conversation, we have design topics of the day. So for the whole week, we were themed around puzzle games, and we covered a lot of different aspects of puzzle games, but you're about to see that all in a recap fashion right now. You can see the Discord right here on the screen, so everything we talked about is right here. Quit bugging me. And we got Marcus, my brother, on the mic. Say hey, Marcus.
Hey, hello, hello.
So, boom, Tetris for Jonas. Design topic of the day, puzzle week. Today we are matching or looking at 3/match 4 puzzle games. Find them and note the basic rules and pieces used, right? Um, yeah, so it's interesting to think of Tetris as a matching game. Not really matching, not really not matching, somewhere in between. Not a lot of games actually do it like Tetris, where you fill in a space. Huh.
Um, yeah, let's go with that. There's so many puzzle games, so
Yeah, yeah, we'll see in a second.
not going to be. It's not an exhaustive study. It's just what we
What we
came up with
discussed.
last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So the Crash 4, nope. Each level element here has a different rules, but the basic one is the elements disappear if three or more are vertically horizontally aligned and one of them is a bomb of the same color. So this one not only has color matching, but it adds diagonals, and it also requires a catalyst, which is a bomb, to be inside of the group. This allows you to make very, very long chains that typically aren't very easy or very possible in games like Tetris Attack, right? Tetris Attack is very hard to make anything beyond a five chain.
uh,
You can line up double out of a single color. You can line up double colors in Tetris Attack, and then you can swap the two final pieces, and it makes a six chain horizontally. You can have some stuff drop onto the other to make a gigantic cross or T shape, but those are a lot harder to set up. But in general, yeah, Warriors Wood, you can do a lot more crazy combos that way. It's a
yeah, this first day in general is mostly a survey of puzzle games, right? People pick the puzzle game that they think is a match three, and we talk about them. But kind of like the general takeaway from day one is if you describe the base mechanics and elements of almost any of these puzzle games. You're almost describing every other puzzle game,
yeah.
sans like the rules, right? So in this first, well, they'll detail Warrior Woods later, but I start off with Tetris Attack. It's a match three or more puzzle game. It's actually any only match threes. There's got to be, but anyway, match three or more puzzle game where you match three of the same, at least three of the same color, horizontally or vertically, no diagonal, and those pieces get eliminated, and the stuff on top drops down. And if they drop down with if they drop down on another match three or more, it can mix combos. Six colors, you can see them right there: green, purple, red, yellow, light blue, dark blue. Dark blue is only on hard mode, so if you're playing anything below hard mode, you have five colors. Um, yeah, yeah. You see the board is 12 by 6, right? And you see different colors, and you have a swap cursor that swaps left to right, right to left, and it's kind of there shouldn't be this this description shouldn't surprise anybody. It sounds like a normal puzzle game, right?
Mhm.
Like people are used to this kind of puzzle game.
Yeah, it's interesting. Tetris is a 10 by 20, and Tetris Attack looks like it's a 6 by 12. It's something to make this nice ratio of puzzle gameplay. You double the width. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, unlike this puzzle game, it's a 3 by whatever 3, 6, 9, 12. It's a 3 by 12, so it's still in the multiple, but definitely trying to create this really skinny gameplay. Oh, it's actually a 3 by 24 if you count both screens, which you should. This game's called Aquia. It's a DSiWare game. One I played and beat completely. I played a ton of puzzle games. By the way, puzzle games are one of my favorite genres. So, one of the indie game that I made most recently is called Enlighten. It's a puzzle game. Just Enlighten game. Here it is, and I can calm you down, Tetris. We don't need you going like crazy all the time. Video examples and fade. Yeah, so this is Enlighten. This is a puzzle game I made. You can learn more about it here, but it's a game that teaches you the art of learning, and it uses a familiar grid-based light puzzle that you might be familiar with from the 90s called Lights Out. But this game takes that game and wraps around it an entire experience that's focused on self-reflection and learning. And you can see a bunch of quotes here from people who've played it. You can visit the website yourself at designoriented.net/enlighten game. But otherwise, right here it's a 3 by 24, and what's unique about this game is you have a cursor like many other puzzle games, like Tetris Attack. You have a little cursor. Wario's Woods, you have a little dude running around. Your little toad is actually platforming slash maneuvering around, and you have to puzzle stuff while doing that. We'll get back to Wario Woods later. It's the first game. This is the game I like the most on Animal Crossing in 64 slash GameCube. We played the GameCube version, and it had download play to your GBA, and I played Wario Woods on my GBA, downloaded from my GameCube, and played this a bunch on that. That's how I got introduced, and I liked it a lot. If they didn't let you download it, then I played it in my Animal Crossing basement because some games are a little too complicated to download to the GBA. But either way, that was a lot of fun. Lots of different puzzle games since. A lot of them do some kind of matching. With Aquia, you have a cursor on the left here, and whenever you insert it into the column by pushing it, in this case to the right, it will push all the blocks in that column out and pop you out a cursor on the right side. Kind of like you're squeezing the space out of it, and out pops the other blocks on the end, and you do that back and forth, and you manipulate the grid that way. So kind of interesting.
You would pop in a gray white, and out would pop out that slash
Slash and dark gray, yeah,
gray.
yeah. So it just pushes straight out to the right side. What's interesting about this game, which let me see if I can show you.
You're looking for match threes.
Yes, you're still looking for matches. It's kind of a Aquia DSI where there it is. Yep, this is how we had to record ourselves back in the day. It's just painful to get footage of old DS games sometimes. But it has an underwater theme, and as you can see here, a twist on Bejeweled and Tetris. That's funny. It is kind of a twist on Bejeweled and Tetris. But you have a cursor, and he's about to push it. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Okay, so right here, he's gonna hit the button, and you can see him all slide right there. And now he has a different cursor on the other end, and you can manipulate that and push it back. Or you can change the order of the blocks in the cursor. You're trying to line things up in columns of three, and unlike like that, the gaps flow upwards instead of falling downwards because you're in the ocean. These blocks are flowing upwards. It's a
Oh,
little bit of a twist, but what's interesting about this game, more interesting than that, is this game has three primary modes. See at the bottom there, the shape. One is a vertical cursor, like you saw. One is a horizontal 1 by 2, and the other is a 2 by 2. You're like actually inserting a 2 by 2 chunk into the field and spitting out another 2 by 2. So this game was one of the few that actually played with your cursor rather than playing a lot with the adding new elements or new rules inside the game itself. So that was pretty cool. I liked Aquio. Apparently Zero played Wario Woods in childhood. Aquia, that's what I just explained. You pop a stack, and here's Zera's breakdown of Wario Woods. You want to read some of that?
mm. So okay. Like I said, the base. Well, this one's going to be a little bit different because it has an avatar, but in terms of piece movement, it should sound pretty similar to everything else we've described thus far. So mechanics: Toad can move left, right, up and down. There's a Toad in the game board. Toad can move left, right, and run up stacks of monsters slash bombs. He can pick a single object from the stack or lift everything at and above his level. So pick up like a stack of bombs. He can then walk with the object slash stack, set it down on either side, or jump atop the stack, setting it straight down. Toad can kick an object in front of him, sliding it forward. Finally, you can hold down to make objects drop faster. Mechanics are well designed.
Jeez, I have to go to a WarioWare's tutorial video because that's a lot of stuff. They actually remade this game, and it was actually played in on Games Done Quick. The game features bosses and all kinds of crazy stuff. I just want somebody to show me how to play.
It's interesting. Yeah, when you have an avatar in the level, right, it has kind of aspects of Sokoban and block puzzles where physical space and you moving the things through space, you're an actual hindrance to moving the pieces around.
Yeah,
And you getting to them is also a challenge as well. So
you are a block. So
yeah,
you can see Toad kind of running around a little bit. I can just drag this over here so you guys can see. You can see Toad running around, grabbing an entire stack. I'll back up a little bit. Look at the stack. Boom. Whole stack. So while I like the dynamic rules and how you can interact with more elements in Warrior Woods than normal, I've always felt like this game was a little too complex, a little too crazy. The diagonal combos, the bombs, the stacks, the running up walls, and the controls are not very intuitive, right? You're running up a wall and you try to hit a button, and Toad will grab like the stack at a certain point and fall. He can throw diagonally, but with some other limitations and restrictions. And as you can see, the pieces just kind of teleport to where they need to be. The whole gameplay is kind of choppy with its results, so it's even hard for me to kind of understand what the heck happens sometimes. But hey, I'm not a Warrior Woods master. Uh,
yeah, you can imagine if this game was made today, it would be in 3D. With Toad would just like walk
oh,
behind
Captain
the
Toad
front of the
Warrior
structure.
Woods would be so good.
Oh, good.
I wish they.
Like I said, now on screen, someone's gonna take our idea.
If
Anyway,
there's a Warrior, if there's a Warrior Woods level in Captain Toads, I'd be so happy because I don't know what that
you know,
entire
there's
game
a
has.
pinball level, and it's relatively has the feel of a pinball level,
Oh,
so that's
that's nice.
interesting.
Cool. Okay, back to this. Warrior Woods. Yeah. Clear all the monsters to win. Run out of space to lose. It's very much like Dr. Mario. You clear the viruses, and it doesn't really matter what else is in the field. So you can play a little bit dirty over here in order to solve the problem over there. Match three objects, including at least one bomb. Blah blah blah. The game switches back and forth between two phases. During Birdo, good. The fairies drop bombs. During the Wario, bad. The blackbirds drop bombs. Drops monsters in addition to bombs. The ceiling is a giant thwomp. Look at all the stuff they threw in there.
Yeah, that's a
Toad,
lot.
Wario, thwomp, witches, birds, fairies.
It's like they took the kind of sentiments of a platformer, and then shoved them to puzzle level,
Mhm.
puzzle screen. Like you have enemies, you have thwomps, you have a avatar moving through and picking up stuff. Bombs aren't hurtful to you, are they? I don't think so. I don't think
No,
it hurt Toad. Yeah.
no. I'm putting a game on the screen called Cubello, and it's like a light gun shooter puzzle game. And there's a detail in Warrior Woods that Sarah points out here, in that when you clear all the blocks of the same color, no more of that color will spawn. It's something that Cubello should have learned. This is so frustrating. So, like you can see here in Cubello, the left side is your magazine of bullets. You shoot blocks onto a spinning block formation. All that super unique. Never seen anything else like this. When you shoot a block onto the formation, it inherits the momentum, and the whole thing rotates like that, and then it keeps rotating in the angle that you shot it. So there's a lot of aiming involved in this puzzle game, but it was super precise. You can even like aim in between holes if you're good. The confusing part is if you have to line up blocks of like four or more in order to have them cleared. When they clear, sometimes the blocks are kind of hanging onto them. They'll just utterly drop off the map, and you get more bang for your buck. But sometimes they slide towards the core in some weird kind of gravity geometry, which you'll probably see soon, like that, right? So as you can see here, there's
Oh
only
wow.
there's
Yeah.
only one color left, and this game is really bad about this. Let's see if it happens. You have to shoot what's next in your magazine, and if you add a color that's basically not the color on the screen, you just made more work for yourself. So now this person has to clear the blonde or the light blue, and then it's got to clear the gray, and then you might get another one in your magazine that's not the color you want. You're like, stop it! And if the thing moves too close to the screen, you die. That's how you die in this game. Pretty cool. Otherwise, the late game in Cubella did not do a good job of kind of wrapping itself up, and there'd be times when you're constantly making it harder for yourself. You're like, give me the right colors. You kind of never want to be in a state where you're waiting for the game to give you the right stuff. I think Tetris can be like that with the long piece drought, and Dr. Mario can be like that depending on what colors they give you in the pills just randomly. But Cubella's the worst I've ever played of that problem. Okay, next.
Yellow. Dr.
Mar-
Mario.
yeah, back to
Dr.
back to Wario.
Yeah, I forgot to say, Tetris Attack, the pieces come up from the bottom, right? And that's a
Hmm.
lot like Aqua's pieces coming up from the bottom. So that's kind of a nice kind of like thematic kind of link from Tetris Attack to Aqua.
Hmm.
Now we're back to Dr. Mario. Pieces fall from the top like Tetris. Pieces fall from the top like Wario's Woods. Um, but unlike Tetris and Wario's Woods, right? The gravity that the pieces are subject to are only on the pills and not the virus.
Yeah, that's
So
interesting.
kind of if you kind of think about it conceptually, right? The viruses are in the body. They're in different points of the body. You're sending in the your medicine to go and kill the viruses, but just because I don't know what the kind of analog to that is. Like you send in the pill, it destroys your pancreas, and then all the viruses drop into your bladder or something like that. So you're like, no, all the viruses are just hanging out where they are in the body. So you have to pinpoint, just like real, you have to pinpoint specific locations with your pill color combination.
Yeah, I think of it as you're introducing medicine into the bloodstream, so it automatically has a flow to it, and it's just flowing through the body to hopefully hit the viruses, and that's kind of like platelets or clotting of the blood vessels, something like that. Yeah, you can see Wario at work down here, and this is the worst quality footage I've ever seen. 140p, 144p. Oh my gosh.
Uh,
We are.
Chat is asking where Mario got his PhD. I don't know why they don't think Mario's a multifaceted character. He's a
Yeah.
carpenter, he's a construction worker, right? He's a plumber. He can get his doctorate easy,
Mm.
easy.
And in that note, there have been a lot of twists to the Dr. Mario formula over the years. I put up some Dr. Mario Championship semis. I watch classic Tetris, and they feature Dr. Mario and Tetris, and the way that they demonstrate their higher understanding of the game and higher knowledge is pretty cool because Dr. Mario seems very limited, especially considering you can only place pills so many places in the beginning of the game, right? But yet, the skill differentiation is pretty clear, and that's pretty cool. But besides that, I played a lot of Mario games, Dr. Mario games, and I'll show you here. There was one for Dr. Mario on Brain Age. It was this weird pill buster thing right here. It was built into Brain Age. It's a break game, so this is the first touchscreen Mario where Dr. Mario is sliding it around and sliding them into place, and when the pills break, you can actually move the little pieces as they're falling. Kind of neat and dynamic, kind of weird. Uh, they made Dr. Mario 3DS. I bought this, I think. I didn't like it, but the twist here was like the Luigi L shapes where all the pieces come down these weird L's. Where is it? Oh, you have a super meter just in case, blah blah blah. You have the standard mode, you have wireless, blah blah blah. Oh, turning the DS on the side, so cool, by the way. This is like the last game that did it. This is the last game that did it. So I bought this, wasn't too thrilled about it. Miracle Cure, and then I played Dr. Mario iOS. This one has the slickest, cleanest graphics. It's just so clean. Look at that. Dr. Mario doing his thing. Oh, you guys can't see it very well. Let me blow this up. Alright, so look how clean that art is. Just like Mario going at it. It's quit reading the story. So this is like a robust game, and I know Zara played some more of this game too. They teach you how to play. They have all these different kind of levels. I felt like the level design was pretty strict. Um, strict, almost like a puzzle game where they want you to solve it in a specific way, but also kind of boring. It was kind of loose. So not quite strict and fun, and not quite free and fun. Kind of in the middle and kind of weird. That's okay. But in this game, every character is a doctor. I'm trying to show you. Peach is a doctor. Bowser's a doctor. Luigi's a doctor.
That's what Zero's talking about. This is Dr. Mario World.
Yeah, this is Dr. Mario World for iOS.
Okay, yeah. Zero's like, hey, you just got to put on a doctor's coat and you become a
Look,
doctor.
Toadette, doctor. If you can wear the coat, you're a doctor. But think about it. In Mario, nobody else can wear anybody else's clothes. So if the shoes fits, it's you. I play multiplayer in this and beat some people and they quit out on me. I'm like, man, you babies. Babies. Anyway.
We gotta do something about that. Yeah. Anyway,
Okay, so that's
um,
that's Dr. Mario. Uh, Keith, somebody from Dino Farms made a Dr. Mario spin-off called like Jelly Bomber, and it was Dr. Mario with like supers and characters that you could pick, and they each had different specials. And some wacky rules on top of things, but yeah, definitely there's an elegance to the core Dr. Mario gameplay, so it's really hard to add on to that or fix it in any way. Then we have Meteos.
Funny, the next games you can probably pair, right? To kind of show you why Meteos is a wild man and Lumines is chill, right? Lumines is a match three. Um, oh yeah, it's a match three. But when you match three or more, right, these blasters blast up, and then everything above it goes to the top of the screen. If it clears the top of the screen, the blocks get erased, right?
Yeah, I'm showing it
Um,
on the screen right now. It's nuts.
right. So yeah, the besides that, the way you move the blocks is right. Your DS stylus, and you can move them anywhere,
Only
right?
up and down. I think
Only up
that's
and
the
down. Okay.
greatest fault of the game. You can't
Right.
really make your own types of stacks. You really just have to be dealt with the cards that you get.
So yeah, this is like notorious for the kind of wildness of his design, right? There's that kind of like derogatory. You can just scratch to win.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, this was the Scratch Ola game.
yeah,
Oh my gosh. So to show it a little bit more specifically, I'll slow it down. Boop, boop, boop. So right there, this stack is about to hit the ground because there's too many things on top weighing it down, and jet fuels is not enough. But right when it touches the ground, if you quickly make another match, boop, it inherits that combo and pushes off with that strength. So there's a 2x strength jetpack for each of these jetters. So let's see if he makes a combo on top of the stack. Right here's a white, boom, 3x, but it kind of inherited the 2x because it connected, and now it lightened the whole stack, but the stack's now dropping, and now the stack's going to drop a little faster because another thing fell on it. Everything is constantly dropping and moving and powered up and not powered. It is so confusing. I played this game for 40 hours, and I still don't understand exactly
and
what's going on.
it has a lot of it has a lot of Cubello in it, right? So you're like, it almost feels like the kind of drawback to scratching, or the what was supposed to limit scratching was aiming at the block, right? Kind of like Cubello, like you
Oh,
have to
yeah,
aim with your
yeah. The actual style
on
is you have
a
to
2D
touch the right part.
structure to hit the thing to drag it down. But
Oh, and this is what happens when you
yeah,
let it. Oh, you didn't let it touch. Okay, keep
yeah,
going.
it feels like these blocks are small enough where that would be a problem, but it's not, right? Because there's how many colors are there? There are.
It depends on the planet. There's 30 characters or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so this is your base character. I love this dude. He should be in Smash, or at least in the background. So this weight is an item, and if you activate the item by touching it, it'll affect your side and like hurt you. But if you activate it and then launch it off the top, it'll actually land in your opponent's side, having been activated, and probably blow them up before they're ready for it. And that was a really fun like risk reward where you're like setting things off on your own side and then launching it all off. The concept of this is great. Like it's so cool. So you can see here he's going to touchdown. Let's see. And connect it. Yellow, so it's 2x. But so here's the cool part, or the weird part. He connected the yellow here, but since the yellow wasn't a clean, like, horizontal break across the tower, it actually lifted both parts up. So you see the huge, weird structure, but then he added another 1x to it by launching another piece into it, right? So it has this really cool, like, what is it, like, Rock Lee kicking Gara up on the initial fight with Rock Lee versus Gara, and he's kicking him and moving up and kicking him and moving up, and like everything is an effortful kick. That's exactly what's happening here. And then he launches another 1x to it, but since the 1x had good momentum, it's good, but then it only was enough to push it off the top a little. So he's going to try to connect one more combo when it lands. When it lands, boy! So he's going to slide the green up. Look, boom, 3x, right? Because there's multiple 1x's and whatever inside. So now it's a 3x. Do the yellows, do the yellows, do the yellows! Okay, that's fine. 4x for blue. And you see the more junk's coming on top, and there's less and less fuel to burn. That's such a cool trade-off. There's so many cool things happening, and I just didn't understand how to actually control it. I knew how it worked in general. I just didn't know how to control it at all. So here's going to be a huge stack, 5x, a lot of power, but too much weight on top. And then he didn't connect that to the base, so it didn't lift everything up. Here's a 6x, enough to push that off the top. And if he makes one more, the whole thing's gone. Gone. 7x.
It's
Victory!
interesting. I compared this to like Lumines, right? Where Lumines, like it feels like it's too dynamic for its own good,
Yeah.
right? You're like, oh, look at fuel and weight and where it was. So that's why people kind of resort to scratching.
Oh,
I think for
scratching
a
is
while,
just where you take your DS and without even looking, just go up, down, all over the screen. It makes the biggest combos. Huge problem for all the people who wanted the game to be skill based. Scratching is just mindless and incredibly powerful.
Richard tried for a while real hard. He's like, you know what? I'm going to prove to you that scratching is not the way. You know
And
what? Scratching is almost the way,
yeah,
right? It's
so
just
with my 40 hours of experience, I could barely beat a scratcher who didn't even know the rules of the game was. That's what you call a failure in so many ways. It's easy to even prevent scratching, right? It's kind of like the infinite spin in Tetris. It's easy to make a rule about it if you really don't want it to be there. Like you can only go from one thing to the other or move the block so many fast, so many times. Who cares? But it wasn't fixed, so whatever.
so and I compare it to Luminez, right? So in Luminez, the dynamic, right? All the interactions only happen when the meter bar sweeps across the piece, right? So you can do everything, like you stack, things don't react. There's no interaction, like block to block interaction besides, physicality that happens until the time meter bar sweeps across it. So like kind of think of like what if Meteos had that bar or something like that, right? You sweep
Uh,
across and then the things blast out. Three,
two,
two,
yep,
one. Oh, okay, there. I can see like right the potential timing potential, not just block potential. So that'd have been interesting to kind of slow the game down a little bit, stop
yep,
scratching.
yep.
If you scratch right, you would
It wouldn't
if you
do
didn't if
anything.
it didn't block it immediately,
Yeah.
you would take it, you would scratch off of it, right?
Scratch
Uh,
off. Pew!
you would have your match and you mess it up because you're scratching. But
Yeah,
because it happens instantly, you're rewarded for scratching.
yep.
So that's a kind of interesting.
So here is Meteos for Xbox, an HD version. Wait, this is just Xbox One. Oh my gosh. So this is a multiplayer Meteos. This was a game made by Sakurai, but obviously not with Nintendo. It first launched on DS, but he had his own IP, so he actually launched this version and I think a Disney version. I've never played any of the others, but you can see the same kind of things happening here. Oh, that is so cool. So look what happens here. On the left side, big old stack, not strong enough to push off the top of the screen. When the stack lands, you have like 2 or 3 seconds to make a combo, maybe 1 second, or all the dark blocks that you were burning for fuel randomize and turn into other kinds of blocks, right? So you kind of don't want that to happen. But in this case, the entire stack falls, so he makes a combo up here to the right with the blue. And since the grays on the bottom are still sort of live, it launches off with a 4x combo. I loved doing that. You make this huge floating like Avengers style platform that you're lifting the entire city up off. You're like, we're not going to make it into space, abandon. You're like, no, no, no. And as it's falling, you're shooting off little escape pods. It was so cool. Never played another game like that. Kind of like doing multiple combos in Tetris Attack at the same time while there's an area at the top that you're comboing and an area at the bottom simultaneously comboing. Nothing else I've ever seen is like both of those things. Crazy. Yep, and then all the colors convert. So, enough Meteos. Lumines,
I
like
guess
you
this is
said.
enough for our match threes, right?
Yeah. All right, let's move right along. Back to the
There has
Discord.
a couple interesting ones further down, but that's when it goes into our Sukubanri.
I'm going to go
So we can
back
go.
here. So, okay. So, again, Lumines, as Marcus is talking about, breaking down the gameplay, the timeline sweeps across, and only when the timeline sweeps across, it's looking for solid 2x2 formations. And when it does, it'll highlight them and then all drop them out. Zookeeper is just kind of like a game where you're looking for match two, right? I'll play it right here in browser. It's a match two. All you need to do is touch any one square. Oh, okay. So in this game, you have to swap two pieces that are next to each other. So while you're still trying to match three or more, you can only swap the two next to each other. So you have to look at. Oh, and if you swap and it doesn't make a match, you can't make the swap. So you have to make a match every single swap. And if there's no match possible, the whole board just refreshes. No big deal. But yeah, that's Zookeeper. What I like about Zookeeper is the combo system is time based. So if you make another match and another match and another match and another match like really quickly after each other, like really quickly, you combo. So that's pretty cool. All right, so day number two.
This is not power, your creation. Yeah, that quote comes from Madara. But anyway,
So, oh, this is one I wanted to
uh,
throw in. This is one I want to throw in. Clash of Heroes is a strategy game that uses a puzzle gameplay as its base, and you basically assign which warriors are going to be in which column, and then you match three of them so they can power up. And in X amount of turns after powering up, they crash forward and kill the other people's units. And if they hit their back line, that's where their life points are. So you're essentially making these really cool formations, and every time you make a cool one, you're giving the opponent enough time to react, but then you're giving yourself enough time to react to them, and everything's just sort of stacking up and puzzling up. And you can make combos just like you saw in the other match games. It's just a little different here. This game was so fun to play. It was so fresh. I played it on DS. That's an HD version. These are the rest of the matches. Tiny Bubble, Mitosis.
Tiny Bubble's interesting. You can look at that real quick. It's
Mm,
essentially everything we're discussing so far about match 30, but it has a uh, interesting dynamic that's very tied
ooh,
into its theming.
that's
Yeah.
colorful. Get those crabs out of here. Look at all those awards. Fill bubbles with color. Not sure what happened.
But you kind of get the gist looking at the trailer. Zero really breaks it down. But even still, he breaks down a lot of interesting dynamics that you probably have to play to get the real feel for.
Let's
But
see. Mechanics. You can tap a bubble to add a color or tap a bubble's edge to cut it. Oh, which will merge it with
yeah,
another bubble or pop it. Rules. If four bubbles of the same color connect in a chain, all deflate and pop, pulling the remaining bubbles together. There are a limited number of moves. Their type and order decided by the level. Only the next four moves are visible. Since the interactions happen in real time, there are several nuances that allow higher levels of play. If you add a color to a bubble that's deflating, you can save it again and use it in another chain. Oh, so if it's deflating, you're like, ah, and you throw it in. If you add a color to a bubble rapidly, it will temporarily swell and may connect to other bubbles that normally wouldn't. If you make many moves quickly, chains won't start deflating until you're done. This lets you make longer chains. These techniques are mostly optional, but they allow for a clever player to find faster, more efficient solutions. Pretty cool. Some levels grant wild bubbles for long chains or for extra moves. For popping mini bubbles, there's a variety of 170 small levels are impressive. Most require popping all the bubbles, but some have a threshold goal for specific colors or require the cluster to fit within a circle. That's cool. That's fresh.
so I got those awards, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay.
You can scroll down to you see Sokoban.
Hey, this is day number two, I think.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But
Whoops. First one took 30 minutes.
yeah, well, Sokoban games. Sokoban like games will do. Sokoban is a classic puzzle game pushing type in which you're a dude or a dudette or a monster or whatever inside of a zone that's based on a grid. You push blocks only go forward, and the idea is to push the blocks to land on all of the designated spots to win. Some people make a few more twists up top of that, like you got to push all the blocks on the parts, and then you got to exit. Blah blah blah. It doesn't matter. The basic gameplay is you're in an enclosed space, and you got to push blocks, and you have limited ways to push them, and that's pretty much a Sokoban game. So Puzzle Script is a game. Let's see.
What's JD doing?
All aboard! Oh, yeah. So Sokoban games are probably one of the easiest types of puzzle games to make, and puzzle games are one of the easiest types of video games to start making. If you play any game with any push block style puzzles, it's probably very Sokoban like. Um, Tony says Baba's used the last Sokoban I played. Uh, if you want to play some Sokobans, the puzzle script is an open source HTML5 puzzle engine. You can make puzzle games out of stuff that's playable on any browser. Some of the most clever puzzle games are made out of puzzle script, and you'd be surprised. Is this the one I like? Yeah, this one's amazing. This number counting one, Sokoboros is amazing.
Oh
The
yeah.
lasso one is
Yeah.
amazing. Skipping stones to lonely shores, I think it's made in puzzle script, and or not. Mirror Isles is by Dracnet or Alan Hazelden, amazing. Lots of different ones. I played so many. If you go to my, oh, this is the light rays one. Look how clever that is. The light rays make vines, and the vines grow diagonally along where the light is, and you push blocks in order to get the vines to do what you want. Clever. So if you want to, here's Skipping Stones to Lonely uh, Shores or Homes or whatever. This is by Alan from Dracnet. Yep. So if you want to play some of my favorites, you can go to my gaming history and then just Control F for puzzle script right here. And it's got all the games I've ever played right here on the history tab. You can control puzzle script, and there's 14 different games in my history that you can play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. The last one being Coin Counter, which is the one I just pointed out. Another fantastic gem. Okay. Back here. So if you want to play Sokoban games, they're there for you. Baba Is You is a Sokoban game. Tony says he never beat it, but he put a few good hours into it without getting spoilers. It's a weird game. When I saw the trailers, I assumed it would be a sort of sandbox style game where you play around with the elements to program your own solutions. But from what I hear, there was only very few levels with multiple solutions. A question to derive from this is, can or should a puzzle have multiple solutions? The answer is yes. The programming plus Sokoban mix and Baba left me a little mixed. Like the way you saw puzzles is that you have to program a solution, but you have to do it in a way within Sokoban's framework where the right program doesn't matter if it's not done with that specific syntax, basically. Words only read top to bottom, left to right. So even though the sentence may be more or less equivalent, like this is that, that is this, like it's interchangeable, like it's not. There are subtle differences. It's less that I'm upset that the puzzles only have one solution, but more so I wouldn't know what approach I'm supposed to be using sometimes when tackling the levels that calls for a mix. It is tricky like that. Another thing about Baba is that sometimes solutions are discovering weird edge cases or properties to the rules, which is what puzzle designers love to do. Baba Is You. I don't care about all your opinions on Baba Is You. How about this one? Let's play Baba Is You. Boop. So changeless. Change. So like here you can see the syntax and stuff going on. Stop it, Tetris attack. Moving right along, you have words rock is rock, flag is rock. But if you change flag is, and then you move it over here, rock is flag. Nope, because rock is rock is a statement that's already made. You can't define it. Apparently, so you have to mess up the statement. And then you go back to the thing. You're like, and then the flag turns into a rock. Hey, good example. Um, Normal Sokoban levels, like with Harbors Posted, are very clean and clear. It's based on something real that we've all done in real life, i.e., putting things in the right place, organizing a space, and trying to fit things the best we can. I think with Baba's programming, it adds a layer that makes Sokoban aspect less clean by adding complex programming in the form of Sokoban. I agree. If anyone's played Baba, I'd like to hear your thoughts and feedback on this one. If I'm missing out on something or not seeing things in the way that's fair to the game, you don't have to be fair. Some particular instances highlights your criticism. Take a snapshot. Yeah, this one you just redefine the wall. Walls no longer stop you if you jack up the sentence. And you can just do whatever you want. Yeah, definitely. Baba's You is super kind of creative, but it's creative in a programmery way, not in a way that's inspired by any concrete experience from real life. And that's always the problem. You see a whole bunch of video games out there that are inspired by nerd things, like extreme nerd things, like program optimization and actual engine coding and stuff like that. Again, it's not wrong to take a super niche, extreme subject matter and try to make a game out of it, but your job as a game designer largely consists of making the abstractions, the simplifications, and the avenues by which non super nerds can appreciate it. And I feel like games like the Zachtronic games and games where you're like optimizing things and kind of practically programming things, and even Baba Is You to a lesser degree, err on the side of too much nerdiness, too much insular knowledge, too much sort of odd nuance that's never quite smoothed out. Just, but they get a thing to work because they can program it, and then they kind of make a game around that instead of really sort of harnessing the sort of intuitiveness or um, the concreteness of any core experience that they have there. But hey, if you can make a game as good as Bob as you, then do it. Okay, so more Bob is you, Bob is you, Bob is you, Bob is you. I feel like the least interesting part of Bob is you is the Sokomon part. The rules, spelling sentences, and changing the properties is fun and the unique part. Having to read each block and then read the field and then read the sentences is a bit much reading, right? I talk about puzzle game reading on my old blog, Critical Gaming. You can go there and read all you want about game design, but in particular, Design 101 series, and we go over genre. Important concepts to puzzle games are reading and reading failure states and decoding what's on the screen by reading it. And we talk a little bit about what reading actually means and how different puzzle games get you to learn to read and how that can be either made better or less better, less clear, depending on the kind of decisions you make in your design. So, if you want to learn more about puzzle games, it's all there for you somewhere on the internet. What game is this? Ah, more Baba's You.
Yeah, you guys talked about Baba for a while.
We have to put a lot of energy into it. It's kind of an irritating game. That's why I stopped playing it. And it's weird that the game didn't have. Yeah, this one was weird. It's weird that the game didn't have like a clear end state. It just seemed like the whole game was just a collection of stuff, and it wasn't really like developing or moving in any clear direction. And I beat about like I don't know, lots of puzzles, 70 to 100. I don't know. And then I was like, where's the end game? Did I miss it? Why do I feel like I don't know where I'm going? Obviously, there are a few more puzzles. I unlocked like some super weird end game puzzles, but I'm like, where's the credits? Like, where's the. I don't know. It just felt like it was kind of unfocused and or incomplete. But that's fine. Yeah, see how much the level has to make crazy spatial contraptions in order to make the manipulation of some of the things work better, and then again, that's kind of extreme even for a Sokoban game, but then you have this reading and rule making element on top of it, and it gets pretty intense. Um, and then, oh, another thing I hate about this game, the rules you manipulate in the game in order to change the properties in order to solve the puzzle, but every puzzle level writes their own rules from scratch. So on the top left, key is open, fungus is shut and pull, fungus has flag, flag is win, leaf is leaf, that means you can't alter it, leaf and foliage is defeat, like all these, and then hedge is stop, Baba is you. Those are all the extra rules. Every level has a different combination of that junk. And every level you go in, there is no like hit the ground running. There is not like, I know this, so therefore I'm going to do that. It's all ground zero. Read the stupid words on the screen and then think about every stupid implication before you even start playing the puzzle. And that's why I'm like, this game, as clever as it is, missed the mark in terms of making these smooth gameplay, puzzly experience. It's just too much. It's too
Funny, the
much.
game, genius idea. Uh, it's almost like the game needed a different visual wrapper, right? To cue you into the kind of, they're basically changing the mechanics, or
The underlying rules that govern, yeah, the
right.
systems and
You're like,
rules and mechanics, yeah.
other games do that successfully. WarioWare does it, right? You're like each time you enter a new little stage, like different rules, and then the different rules slap on top of a familiar gameplay type. So right, like maybe this combination of leaf is leaf and leaf is foliage. You're like, oh, that is a combination of like whatever poison plants and Metroid. Maybe that just had a Metroid skin and a poison plants part. You're like, okay, I already know the plants are poison, right? And maybe Samus gets an armor, right, that lets her go through the poison. You're like, oh, I see. When you change the rules, it's actually Samus acquiring the armor or spacesuit or something like that. Okay, I see. So when you're changing all the rules, you have established systems, right, already in your head that ease you into it. So that would be crazy.
Mm.
Um, do it
Yeah,
for money.
or if you change the rule, this is WarioWare at its finest. Yeah, baby. Oh, it's so funny.
Uh, uh, I'm in my chair.
Yeah. Oh man. So what you said, yeah, definitely. You just take a step back away from the cleverness, away from the like my thing is so cool and you go, "Wait a minute, what have video games taught us over the years?" If Baba is You had it to where you step into whole worlds, each world introduces new level elements or something like that, and then you if you affect a block on one level, as long as you're still within that world, like on the world map, the rule is still consistent. It's still there. So then you could be like, oh, like in a way, I'm kind of easing myself into the particular complexities of this world, and maybe I could go back to levels and change things or whatever. But at least you'd be building a small little arc on your knowledge base instead of tearing it down and having to build it up every single level. But hey, ooh, the Wiimote nunchuck games.
Did they change the little connector into a little person grabbing onto the cord? You see that?
Where?
Go back.
Okay,
Anywhere. Go back.
I'm looking.
Go back. Go back. And
I'm
it's the
almost
first.
there.
It's the first.
Yeah, we're getting
Oh,
there. It's not a person.
Sorry.
It's just a weird squiggle.
Yeah, look, you see, it looks like it though, right? It looks like he has arms. He's grabbing onto the cable.
Yeah.
He has a head. Look at it.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I see.
anyway,
I see. Back to design. All right. So Bob
y'all.
is you, Bob is you, Bob is you. With these level solutions, less entangling the logic knob. Bob is you. Apple tries your own choose adventure from Twitter. That's funny. Beyonce assistant.
That was in relation to our story exercise we did
Okay,
for
yeah,
making a story off of Twitter. Yeah.
yeah. So not related to puzzles. So saw something that's kind Bandersnatch. Oh, so the story branches, more story branches, more ways to tell a story apparently. Um, and back to puzzle scripts. Sokoboros, another amazing one. Block pushing meets the classic game of Snake. So this is an example of merging two types of games or two ideas in a way that's still very elegant. Eating fruits makes Snake longer. The longer the Snake gets, it harder to navigate spaces. Snake must also get long enough to depress multiple switches simultaneously to advance to new rooms. Very clean.
I guess yeah, this is the kind of example of like matching uh, maybe three kind of like gameplay types. Each complements each other, so you're not overwhelmed by any one particular type.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, like Snake, right? Sokoban, and it's an adventure game, right? You're unlocking certain rooms. You have to unlock certain rooms in certain orders when you get far enough.
Yeah,
Um,
so there's a bit of exploration and a bit of
yeah, there's that.
non-linearity.
So I guess the part it stresses most is um,
Snake.
well, Snake slash Sokoban, right? So they
So
both operate
So it's interesting. It's
congruently.
it's it's less Sokoban because you're not pushing anything on the switches. Your body
All right,
is.
or
But
Snake.
yeah, so it's mostly Snake. So right there,
So yeah,
Snake not long enough. Snake sees
like, oh,
fruit.
shoot. I want to go through two door, but I can't. Gotta go right.
I'm gonna speed this up.
Gotta grab the thing without being stuck. So kind of like in the, but it also has like an adventure element too. So the snake portion never gets too difficult because you kind of branch into the exploration part. So when you can go into multiple rooms, um, and you can kind of lock yourself out of the next room by going to the wrong room, you can always rewind because that's the
Yeah,
feature of Silk Bar. It never has to stress the snake part too much. So that's the cool part about it.
yeah. Another game that successfully did it, Snakebird. And a lot of people talked about Snakebird. Very colorful, very cool looking game. If you want to see some of the deepest level design analysis that we've ever done, this is an old video we made about 4 years ago. Entire spreadsheet about the level design, breaking it down conceptually, and then all these stats, and then analyzing the stats and reflecting on the game itself. Graphs and stuff. So if you're a super nerd, you want some of this action, here it is. Still using the D-card wheel. This is something you can check out for yourself. If you go to designoriented.net/wheel, and you can look at all the terms and how they fit together in our color-coded system and have a blast. It's been viewed over 20,000 times. Enjoy that. Whee!
You can be part of that number.
You can do it. Snakebird, here we come. Snake Bird and Sokoban. This one has gravity, snake growth by eating the fruit, momentum, gravity sub goals. Also, somebody else found a puzzle gym that has birds and snakes. So yeah, with this one, some of the levels have multiple snakes in it, so that's a cool little twist. Multiple snake birds. Like which one's going to eat the fruit, which one needs to be longer, and how does getting one longer help both of them get to the goal? Because all the birds need to get to the goal. Very, very elegant. As much as the complexity could have ballooned outward, they really kept things tight by saying there's one goal. All the fruit must be eaten. All the birds must get out. So that's like, well, you never are like, which bird do I sacrifice? Neither of them. None of them. You always got to get them out, and it helps a lot. Power Ends talked about puzzles being pure distilled combat. This is an interesting offshoot of the current discussion topic. I don't know if we have enough time to get into it now, but it's basically like what are puzzle games at their essence, what are combat games at their essence, and how the combat genre can learn from the puzzle genre. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Oh,
So Zera plays a lot of Sokoban games, and he has links to an online version. People started playing them, giving feedback. Marcus tastes like victory. Very good. Uh, People talking about Snake, Sokoban, and Zera didn't ping me. Oh, and one thing I did comment before is that if you play enough puzzle games, you realize, hopefully, that it's about how you think about the puzzles and how you approach them rather than like how complex and unique each of them are. Sokoban games are all based on that same core dynamic of space. Getting things wedged in the corners means you can't move them. How you're going to maneuver things so you don't lock yourself out of victory, and therefore you can read just about every puzzle game the same way. So when Harbor's asked, "Do you find patterns between levels?" I'm like, "Yes, you do." You can do a lot of interesting ways to find common strategies between games and between levels as long as they share a few core rules the same. If mastering enlightenment taught me something, it's that having good notes and habits is really helpful to step up finding patterns. Yep, yep. This is an interesting game. I don't even know what this is.
Snickerbond. This is
Okay.
what I was in my head when I was thinking about. So that one, you're actually pushing blocks as a snake. I think you're growing.
Same with the snake. Yeah, so this is the actual Sokoban one you were talking about before, and you can see that is he growing?
I think
Every block pushed is a grow.
you didn't describe it.
Yeah, it is. So every box basically has food in it that you automatically eat when you. I guess when you push it on the switch.
You stuck. No.
No.
Oh, you did it.
In a lot of ways, even though the snake growing looks like it's. Go back a turn, please. Or not. Just wind all the way around. No. Stuck. In some ways, it looks like this game's more complicated because of all the stuff, but then I feel like in a lot of ways, some of the dynamics that change in a game help you simplify it. So you're like, if I'm going to grow, then I can only go here. If I'm going to go here, then I can only grow here. That kind of a thing.
Yeah, the next section is deductive reasoning.
Cool.
Right. If you, uh, like when this grid is this small, right, and the rules are that defined, and you have that little space, it's almost like check the column, right? Check the row. If it's there, go there. If it's not, go to the other one.
Mm.
Uh,
This is a really complicated, looks like Sokoban game with words and spelling and stuff. Ooh, get away from me. Scrabble plus Sokoban. So Marcus said the next deductive reasoning is the next topic. So if you guys recall here, let's see if I can get it out. Uh, so the Descartes skill spectrum is our way of measuring skill. It's 5 parts: dexterity, knowledge, adaptation, reflex, and timing. And under knowledge, we have analyze skills, and under analyze skills, which is a subfacet, we have even more subfacets called abductive reasoning, inductive reasoning, and deductive reasoning. And deductive reasoning is reasoning starts with an assertion of a general rule and it proceeds from there to a guaranteed specific conclusion. Deductive reasoning moves from the general rule to a specific application. In deductive reasoning, if the original assertions are true, then the conclusion must also be true. Deducing. So he's like, is abductive reasoning Sokoban and inductive reasoning Miss? And I was like, in Sokoban, you typically see the entire map, so your observations aren't incomplete. Abductive reasoning typically requires there to be some incomplete information. Abductive reasoning typically begins with an incomplete set of observations and proceeds to the likeliest possible explanation. So I don't think Sokemon counts as abductive. Yay, a bunch of words. So this is an interesting old school adventure game deductive reasoning question challenge prompt.
A married couple took their son and daughter to the zoo.
Oh, wow.
Match each person's name, family relationship, and favorite zoo animal. Vincent's favorite animal is smaller than the other favorites.
The favorite animal of one of the parents is the giant panda.
Fun. So then he goes on, marks them, and listens to all the. There's only 5 hints, and yet through all 5 hints is able to deduce exactly what each of the combinations are. Great. Marcus mentioned the Jackson trick or treat, maybe? None of the boys? Oh, so you have another example of that same thing.
Yeah, this one's solvable with just those clues. Pretty easy. You can do it real quick.
Ah!
I did the answer in the spoiler.
Yeah. And then you mentioned it's like the game of Guess Who being a more open-ended form of it. But it just teaches people how to observe properties, how to ask questions, how to knock out possibilities with the better questions, so on and so forth. Cool. Hexalogic is a Sudoku Picross-like game in a hex grid. Let's check it out.
Yeah, I'm looking for some more deductive logic stuff
Do-
in normal.
Do we have any
game.
more comments in the Twitch?
Nah, you got it.
Cool. Oh, Hexalogic. I was playing this game on browser. Let's see if my documentation system is good. Hexalogic. So we have Hexagon, which I played in 2012. Let's go to the last one on the list. Let's just type in puzzle. Let's go with the latest puzzle games I played. Monsters Expedition Through Puzzling Exhibitions, Golf Peaks, Can the Game, Squares, the puzzle game, Puzzles and Dragons, the Room Pocket Puzzles, Cut the Rope. Oh, so I got some iOS ones. Block Sudoku, Block Puzzle, Good Sudoku, Pull Frog, Dot Dungeon, Point 5 Presses, Sudoku, Mr. Driller, Nexifer. I think this is it. There it is. Yep. So this is an itch.io game. Drag with your mouse and fingers. Your progress is automatically saved, and further rules as you play. So boom, boom. You're like, nope, that didn't work. I only have one of each, right? So that means I have to use one of those and one of those. And then somehow that worked. This one I have 2 of the white dots, so I'm going to put one here and here. And then I'm going to put the other one here. And you're inferring the rules a la a witness, right? Because the game never really tells you anything, so you just have to kind of observe the properties and keep the known things in your head while also sort of abductively figuring out some of the other rules that could be possible or could be at play. A single case probably doesn't tell you enough about any one rule because rules can be complicated like that, so on and so forth. Just kind of speaking on the witness and things, so it's like a Jonathan Blow kind of ushered in the current thinking about puzzle games and like, ooh, don't use words, let them use your own brain, teach you blah blah blah. All that I feel like is way overstated, overblown. Um, you can teach people the rules of the game so they can play a video game. Everything doesn't have to be you're off on your own and there's absolutely no help around you and you must figure it out yourself. The Witness probably did the best job it could with that. We're like, ooh, the game is about perception. We're going to make it from start to finish where you can use your perception and get all these interesting results from it. But other games in general, they just need to tell you the rules, right? We can talk a lot later about how video games are largely composed of 2 major components, and when you're playing them, a learning component, a learning experience, and a playing experience. And hindering the learning experience and then having the play experience be really short and kind of uneventful, I don't think makes a good combination for interesting games. So I'd rather teach people all the rules and then show them all the interesting things that are well beyond in the possibility space, which is why my game, Enlighten, is designed in the opposite fashion of The Witness, right? My game actually teaches you about learning instead of just being about perception and observation. My game actually teaches you the rules instead of having absolutely no text to explain the rules. My game actually shows you your stats and walks you through it and gives you help with social features instead of just saying you're on your own, deal with it. My game, I like better. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool. So everyone giving great examples. Sadi, great example. Graphic adventure style puzzles and old school style examples. This one was a double nonogram or a double pick cross, if you will. So you can see here that it's like two pick crosses. One where you're using the top and left numbers to figure it out, and the other with the other color using the right and bottom. That's pretty clever. That's another cool way to do a new kind of pick cross 3D that I want to play right now. Um, so I responded to Power Ann's question about puzzle games and simplifications, abstractions, skill, core design. Lots of good stuff here. Um, lots of good stuff here. If you want to be a part of the community or you want to pause the video, you can read it for yourself. It's all here in the public channel. Blah, 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 blah. And finally, our last prompt and question. Does,
Well, it's not even that. It's second to last. But,
brain teasers. Let's go,
yeah.
Leighton. Let's go,
we
Leighton.
we really don't have a lot left. So, brain teasers, um,
Yes.
riddles, word puzzles, up to things like that. I have Leighton in the picture because it's a game full of, riddles and word puzzles. Um, yeah, kind of interesting. Kind of when we get to this part of the design topic of the day. Previously, right, match three, you're talking about a whole game, but then when you're talking about a riddle, you're talking about
A
basically
one
the
off.
smallest of challenges possible,
A
right?
one off.
So, so not a lot. Like if you ask people for specific puzzles they like and specific riddles, it's harder for people to come up with those things versus games they like. So yeah, even when I was trying to think of my favorite Leighton, I was like, oh gosh, I thought I used to have one, but I do like this one I put in here though. Move two matchsticks and uh, uh,
You
make
complete
it
the
so that the
story.
dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you move the two matchsticks up, and then it's a flattened dog hit by a truck.
hmm
One of my favorites. Um,
And between, I played six Professor Layton games, all six of the core main ones. That's a lot of puzzles. I really like puzzles, but even so, there's a lot of drawbacks to the Layton games in general. Kind of like with Baba Is You, it gets kind of annoying when you are progressing in a story and narratively everything's stacking on top of each other and building up, but then gameplay wise, it's like, and stop. Here's a fresh puzzle you've never even thought of or seen before. Take a time to learn it and do it, and then never see it again. That kind of start stop and the pace and momentum is just really, it's not good, and I wouldn't
yeah,
do
they had
it.
that Penny Arcade comic all those years ago. The guy exploring, he's like, basically, answer me these riddles three. You're like, what the? I'm trying to be a serious way to solve this. He's like, answer me these riddles three. You're like, okay, sure, I guess. Yeah, that's what. At the beginning, you're like, oh, great, what a interesting way to interact with people I don't know. But once you start knowing them, you're like, hey,
Mhm.
are we a little bit more intimate than this by now? Come on now, just tell me.
Yeah. So Professor Layton in general usually has 100 plus brain teasers, and usually about 20 of them are in the series, right? And the Professor Layton 2 had a knight's walk puzzles where you have a knight and you're trying to hit every square that they highlight on the board by moving in knight fashion from chess. They had three of those knight puzzles of increasing difficulty, and then no more. And the previous Professor Layton, I think it was the Queen's Walk or whatever. But similarly, you almost never see the same puzzle twice, maybe three times max. I thought it'd been cool though if types of puzzles um, were used over and over to capture the gameplay ideas and express certain ideas consistently. So every time you need to outsmart somebody, that'd be cool if it was a chess puzzle, right? So if you get really good at chess puzzles, you're like, ah, I can outsmart anybody, right? Like, give me the chess
Like the
puzzle. Yeah, let's
Carlson
go.
and Sherlock Holmes too.
Or if you were searching for something, it'd be a visual, conceptual puzzle, like an optical illusion or something, because that's kind of what searching is like. That'd be the next level, Layton. I played all six Laytons. I didn't bother with the Phoenix Wright one, and I played the iOS one a little bit and got sad and tired. So that's enough for me for the rest of my life. But yeah, brain teasers are different from core puzzle games, video games, as you said, because they usually are very different in nature and one-offs. And puzzle games are all about one core system, and then you play it forever, like Tetris, or you keep spinning up new puzzles out of it. Very different. Yeah, yeah. Wish You Were the Moon, so good. And The Witness, blah blah blah. This is only one level. That's a cool one. I wish it were. Yeah, great stuff, everybody. Great stuff. Oh, and the Sphinx puzzles.
Things from Odyssey always asks you a riddle, usually about something you encountered in the level thus far.
Yeah, neat.
You answer properly.
Brain teaser in puzzle script, apparently. Interesting.
Hmm.
The order is 231. 23 is number one. And in Japanese, Marcus, that's Jordan. In Japanese, that's what? Nissan
Okay.
wa Ichiban?
They had like another kind of play on words in Japanese. I'm surprised this one is barely one, but
That
Michael
that's
Jordan's so popular, people are like, yeah, it must be before you did Michael Jordan.
that's the pun. Nissan, my brother Nissan is number one.
Yeah.
It's my favorite
Oh,
brother. So
Ichiban.
Nissan
Okay.
is Ichiban. You're like, oh, we're like, wait, he's not talking about number his brother. He's talking about
Oh,
23 one.
that's clever. That one's tricky.
Yeah, that's why they
Japanese
presented
is tricky.
they presented these shrubs as like a little family or whatever. So like, oh, Nissan is number one.
Mhm.
Hey, Riddle Cat. Ah, I'm a weird looking cat. What does how do what thou hast come to do what thou hast come to do what thou must do? Yeah. Anyway, Riddle, the right button. People are stuck. There's spoilers. Don't want to spoil it for anyone who's listening. These classic brothers paradox from the original season of Yu-Gi-Oh. These guys are a hoot. This indicates the classic problem of one only tells lies, one tells truths. Figure out how to sort through their riddles or whatever, their statements, and that's very deductive reasoning here. It's a very cool kind.
Yeah, I guess you could, yeah, chart that out. The answer would be rather
It
obvious.
is
That's interesting.
this is a ton of content. Jeez. Professor
These kind
Layton,
of
five suspects. Oh, so this is the deductive reasoning of Layton. Nano, nano. Yep, and all it is just a paragraph, and you gotta write down the answer. Yep, Layton is like this. That question doesn't even seem solvable without knowing how many hats are black and white. Blah blah blah. Yep. Brain teaser from the room. I played the room for a few minutes, not long enough to kind of really enjoy it or know it. But yeah, I played a lot of games. Yeah, and the final topic is just kind of extrapolating, widening things up a little bit and saying, where do we see puzzle design in other games? Marcus picked Zelda, his favorite game series, with Whip Lever, created this little montage of the different things that it does. Uh, Skyward Sword, standard, use the whip, right side
yeah,
lever is low
whip
enough.
and whip through the bars, and then whip through the bars to take the key, which is not a whip lever, but they teach you how to whip through the bar to get stuff you want. And the last one is, I think you can't whip to it naturally. You have to Z lock onto it. So the Z lock on, so it pans the camera, so you can then whip up
Hmm.
and get the switch.
Load Runner, Zara played a lot of that before and has talked about it on the design channel. Sooner Sacrifice, more spoilers. That's puzzle games are almost always accompanied by spoilers, but that's
I think that's it.
it's
Yeah.
the spoiler effect of four-dimensional puzzles with frack and stuff. Yep, yep, yep. So cool. There's a lot of stuff we talked about, a lot of stuff we didn't talk about, a lot of stuff that's still here on the channel if you want to go dig into it. If you have any questions, you can throw them at us at Design Oriented on Twitter. Go to our website at designoriented.net, or you can just jump into our Discord. All the links to our YouTube channel, our Twitch, our Twitter, and our Discord can be found on our website at designoriented.net. That's everything for the week cap, the week cap. I tried to make it a
Mhm.
pun. Design topic of the week cap, and we will see you guys. We'll see you guys
Good
next
night,
time.
everybody.
Bye. Peace.
Yay.
Whee!